we're recording.
Hello.
And welcome to
Fallthrough?
question mark.
You don't even have the recording intro now.
That's
Got him.
got him. Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. Yes, we're talking about no, okay.
Hollandale.
Holiday.
Oh,
I mean, conferences are like holidays.
are they?
Sometimes.
Not for Angelica. Anyway, let's get this started. Let's get this going. Okay. Hello and welcome to Fallthrough, your source for deep conversations about technology, software, and computing. I'm your host, Kris Brando, also known as Scriptable, and on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about conferences. If you're listening to this at the time of release, GopherCon is this week, and the panel and I decided that we wanted to talk about our conference experiences. The things like how we approach conferences, what we like about conferences, what we don't like about conferences. And for our supporters, we actually have a rather large section that is all about how we wish conferences could be better. So if you're not a supporter, head on over to fallthrough.fm/subscribe and sign up today so you can get access to that bonus content. As per usual, if you aren't already, please give us a follow on social media. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps with the algorithm. And with that, let's get into the show. Hello, and welcome to Fallthrough. Welcome back for another episode. We're doing a panel one today with many a host. We got Matt, we have Angelica, and we have someone who hasn't made an appearance in like 20 episodes, Dylan.
I don't think it's been 20. It's been like 6 or 7.
Hold on.
Don't make us do the math down.
We're gonna
You could have just said, ha ha ha, welcome, glad to be back. And now you're going to get audited.
Nerd tonight. Kris is doing math right now.
Yeah.
Dylan is a busy man with many, many roles and responsibilities.
I've had a very eventful summer, so my time for podcasting has been very limited.
We're excited that you're here now. Well, I am.
Episode 11
Woo!
with Kelsey. That was 11. This is episode 34.
So 19, fine.
19? Anyway, you're derailing this whole thing. Today, we're not talking about how Dylan has been absent from the podcast. We're talking about how to have a great conference experience, and we're talking about this because GopherCon is this week, if you're listening to this when it gets released, or GopherCon US is this week, if you're listening to this when it gets released. And we wanted to make a nice little guide on how to have a fun conference because we are all conference goers. All of us will be at GopherCon, so if you see us, say hi. And several people here organize GopherCon or have organized GopherCon in the past or been part of organizing GopherCon in the past. Actually all of us have or are part of organizing GopherCon. So I didn't realize that.
How many times can you say GopherCon in the space of a minute?
GopherCon. And so we're going to cover things like how we approach attending conferences, the types of things that we do, what we avoid, how to tackle things like the sponsor den, which is always a little bit overwhelming. There's so many people in there, so many sponsors, so much swag to acquire. It's like a little mini game inside of every conference. But before we get into that, I want to find out how my panel's doing. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm great. It's vacation time for me, so after this, I'm out of here.
Going to faraway land.
Faraway land, exactly.
Nice. Love that. Angelica, how are you?
I'm great. Living my best life. I have about 4 jobs at the moment, but we're getting through. I'm highly caffeinated. And this is the best of the 4 jobs that I feel I have at the moment.
Okay. I like that. I'm glad we're not one of I'm glad we're not at the bottom. I'm sure our listeners are happy that.
No, you're tippy top. I look forward to the mornings I get to spend with you all. You're my chums, my friends.
Aw, love that. And Dylan, long time no talk. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Like I said, it's been a busy summer. Had some life events. Oldest graduated from college and got engaged. We moved. And 6 weeks ago, I had knee replacement surgery. So it's been fun, but I'm on the road to recovery and happy to be back. Excited.
Yay! Well, we're happy to have you back.
You're speaking to my spirit animal today too, with your t-shirt that says "Coffee or Die," with a lovely slithery snake.
Is that supposed to be like a reference to Java? Is that like your favorite programming language now?
Why you got to go there?
Wait, if it's a snake, wouldn't it be Python?
But it's coffee, so it's
see
Java.
what you did there.
Got it.
It's Jython.
Oh. Well,
I'm actually creating a new language. That's what I've been doing all summer.
Oh my gosh.
I
VIP
believe it.
announcement right here on Fallthrough.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely trolling.
a mix. All the fun of Java with its verbosity with all of the nice white space, important white space of Python.
Woo-woo.
And
How are you doing, Kris?
How am I doing? Nobody
Yeah.
ever asked me how I'm doing because I'm always
Well, we're
the host.
changing that today.
I'm doing great. It's been a busy summer. I'm super excited about how many episodes of Fallthrough we have shipped and now break. Yes, listener, we have another show. Go listen to it. It's a fun time. But I'm doing great. Doing great. I like that we very consistently shipped this show. I'm very proud of that. Because, listener, hold on. Listen to this. Shipping a podcast weekly is so much work. There is so much that we have to do to make this magic happen. And I'm just incredibly proud of us because we have weathered not only the spring slump, but the summer slump without missing an episode or being remotely worried about missing an episode, which is just fantastic. So I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Angelica.
Good. I'm very happy to hear that.
I don't know why you're complaining. It's been easy for me.
At this point, Kris
Where's
kicked Dylan
where's
from
that
this.
remove button?
Yeah.
Dylan has
man.
exited the call.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whoopsie.
All right, let's get into the main topic of this episode. So I thought we'd start with a kind of fun question, also very open-ended, so you can kind of go anywhere. But panel, what have your best conference experiences been? Like, what's your best, when you think about a really great conference experience you had, what is that? Describe it. Matt, you go first.
That's a good question. I don't know if I have like a singular best conference experience.
This is why there's an S at the end of experiences, Matt. You just
Oh,
Chris
I thought
is
that- I thought that-
spicy this morning.
I know he had his coffee. I thought the S stood for singular. Sorry, I can't English. No, I mean I like conferences where like they give ample time for people to socialize with one another, and like I had that at one of the HashiConfs I went to back in 2018. That was really fun. I got to meet a lot of people and socialize. It was kind of small, all things open. Really gives a lot of that back to the community too, where there's a lot of time for you to just kind of be in the hallway track because it's a big hallway and you meet a ton of people. Even open source firmware conference I went to one year, and I'm not a firmware person, but I wanted to just see that industry, and like really, really cool. Excuse me, really, really cool. And I don't know, I just, when you get time for meeting the people that are also there, like the attendees, not just the speakers, not just attending events, that's where I like it.
the hallway track.
The hallway track, yeah.
I definitely agree. I love the hallway track so much. Just chilling with people. That's how I got to know Dylan pretty well. And you, actually.
Yep.
Just hallway tracking it.
Kris and I have been basically organizing the hallway track at GopherCon for the last 2 years.
This is true. We're always in the, if not actual hallway, the virtual, not virtual, the proverbial hallway. That's what I'm looking for. All right, Dylan, what has your best conference experiences been? What have your best conference
So, as an outsider, air quotes, I'm a small town guy, so GopherCon is the only conference that I've been to. But the most fun, I would say, was 2018 in Denver, the last night. That's when for those who aren't already aware, there's a channel in Gopher Slack called Swarm that was created in 2018. It started off as about 6 people at a bar having beers. And by the end of the night, it probably was 70 people trying to get a table at a restaurant. And we finally got one of the pizza places in Denver to take us, and they split us into about 6 or 7 different groups. But it was a blast because it was this organic thing and everyone was just wandering around and having fun and experiencing Denver.
I feel like there were a couple of those in GopherCon 2018 because GopherCon 2018 is also when I met Ian. And we also met at a large gathering of people. And I think it was like Bill Kennedy and a bunch of like Google team or Go team people. It was like a really interesting like mashing of people together. And I was like, oh, this is fun. So yeah, those parties after things are happening, always tons of fun. But oh wait, you know what, Dylan? I'm remembering the exact thing you're talking about. It was like the last night.
Yes, it was the last night.
I was there. That was fun. That was a blast. It started off literally about 5 or 6 people at a bar across the street from the convention center. And by the end of the night, it was this gigantic mob just descending on restaurant after restaurant, trying to get a table to have somewhere to eat. Yeah, that was fun. That was good. That's a good experience. That's a good one. Angelica, what have your best conference experiences been?
So I think I have twofold answer. I think my honest best conference experience has nothing to do with tech. It was a literary conference in Edinburgh. And the reason I loved that so much was because it was a small group of people who were absolutely obsessed with Shakespearean literary studies. And there was no talks. You just sat round in a room, a very large room, and had like this, like on a podcast. You sat, you talked about ideas, you shared ideas, you brought ideas, you knew what the different discussion topics were going to be, but it was 2 days. The whole 2 days were just very focused sessions on, we're going to talk about this theme in literature, we're going to talk about this theme, and then everyone just discussed them together. The reason I love that so much was there wasn't the pressure that giving a talk brings, but people came prepared, they were passionate, so you had that exchanging of ideas that often happens in the hallway track when you're talking to people. And that's one of the things that is most exciting. What I've enjoyed at kind of GopherCon and Go conferences is those conversations where you're talking to another person who's as passionate about the thing as you are, and you're able to exchange ideas, and maybe something comes out of that, maybe it doesn't, maybe you learn something new. So that's my honest answer, but from a conference experience. But my favorite part of a conference, and the thing that gives me the most happiness and why I continue to want to go to conferences, is because I help with a lot of the like speakers, the lineup, lightning talks, is when I talk to someone who's doing a lightning talk or a real talk early on when their talk's been accepted. And they're really, really nervous. Maybe they're a first-time speaker. Bluntly, sometimes their talk's a little bit of a mess. And then the moment where they get up on stage, they give this genuinely really good talk. And you see the moment that they realize, like, oh, I thought I couldn't do this. I can do this. And it's such a fulfilling feeling where they come off stage like, oh my God, that was so great. Oh my gosh, like, I want to do it again. So when I see that almost transformation of a complete newbie speaker into someone who's built confidence through this conference experience, that's why I do it. Like, I love it. It's so nice to get people who thought they couldn't talk at a conference, and they talk at a conference, and the confidence it builds in themselves, in their professional and I'd say arguably their personal life, is I just love it. Building everyone up, showing them they can do things that they thought they couldn't do.
Do you remember my first on-stage talk in 22 in Chicago?
I do, yeah.
Rehearsal was an absolute dumpster fire. It was terrible. Stumbling, bumbling, like just absolutely awful. And then I went back to the room, spent 3 hours editing, rehearsing, adding notes to slides, deleting extra stuff. And it turned out well, but you talking about first time speakers and being nervous. Like, I was there. It was an absolute raging dumpster fire. At rehearsals the day before I was to go on stage.
Well, at least you had your notes together.
Yeah.
That's true. Some people don't even have that, or slides, or an idea.
Yeah.
Also,
honestly,
that was the day 2 keynote also. So in front of the entire conference, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like, that was absolutely awful. And I have to do it in front of everyone tomorrow.
But it turned out really well, you know? And I think that building of confidence is not only if you're a speaker, it's also seeing, and I know, Kris, we've talked about this, and I think, Matt, we talked about this too, like people who get to talk to the Bill Kennedys, the Rob Pikes, these people that they thought were insurmountably untouchable. They're like, oh my God, I could never talk to that person. Oh, I could never have this. And then they get into a conversation with them and you see how happy and confident they get because they're like, no, this is just another human being who's passionate about the same things I'm passionate about. So for me, I'm a big people watcher when I'm not running around like a crazy person trying to make sure everyone's happy. I love people watching because conferences can be truly transformational experiences for people. Like, Gotham Go 2018 was when I was like, I want to be a gopher. Like, it was truly a transformational experience for me. And I see that where people come to the conferences and they go, oh, am I going to fit into this community? Am I going to be able to talk to anyone? Am I going to make any friends? And they leave and they've got all these friends. And they're like, oh, I love this community. And they feel included. That feeling of inclusion is so beautiful and can only happen. I mean, it can happen in other ways, but I think conferences are uniquely placed to make people feel that closeness, that community, that we are all together and we're in it together.
That aspect of it is kind of, I like the fact that GopherCon is not this huge conference with 75,000 people there spread across 8 buildings in Seattle. Like, you actually can walk around and talk to half of the people at the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think my best conference experiences, I guess it's kind of twofold. I think for one, it's the meetups that GopherCon does, I think are like I remember when they started doing them, right? Like 2 years ago, and it just changed my own conference experience so much because it like gave me a group of people who I could like identify with more closely to just kind of like hang out with at the conference. And that's just like, it made it a more enjoyable experience. So I guess I should explain these. We have these meetups at GopherCon that are for different identity groups. So there's like one for Black folk and people of color. There's one for Asian folk. There's one for queer folk. There's one for neurodivergent folk. There's one for meetup organizers. And there's one for, I guess it's not really just women, but like women who go, right? So there's all of these meetups and they happen like kind of at the night, over the first couple of days of GopherCon, and like going to each of those was just like so nice because like that's how I met Matt. You get to meet people in like a completely different type of environment compared to the rest of the conference because GopherCon, like most tech conferences, is very heavily male, very heavily white, very heavily straight. I'm not going to say very heavily neurotypical because I don't think it is. But it's definitely very heavily white, straight, and male. So like finding your own people when you're part of us, like when you're not one of those things, is difficult. And I think the meetups really helped make it like easier to find people and gave you that kind of base of people that you can be like, oh hey, I know you. We were at dinner last night, and you can like have people you can talk with, and it like makes it a little bit easier than if you don't have those things. So the meetups are definitely on the top list of like great experiences that I've had at conferences. And then I think like probably the top 5, one of my top 5 experiences is like the closing party at GopherCon 2019 on the aircraft carrier, because that was just a whole lot of fun. And there was the Gopher band playing, and it was like an amazing time. People in like the flight simulators. It was just truly fantastic. That was so much fun.
I like Oh, you said I love. I said I like. So I guess you can go.
No, it's fine. I was literally going to make a pithy comment about the fact that we've gone this far. We're like 20 minutes, 19 minutes in, and none of us have said anything about the talks or the workshops. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll circle back on that one.
Well,
go on, Matt.
yeah. I want to circle back to that one. The hallway track, the meetups, these sort of things, like sometimes they're explicit events. Like at GopherCon makes the meetups an explicit event. And sometimes they're just self-organized ad hoc things that just happen. And for me, what I like the most about those types of events is that it removes sort of that LinkedIn effect where everyone on LinkedIn acts so professional and like, you know, they are on their best behavior because their professional peers are watching them, right? So they act like their little professional fake self. But at these events, no, all that goes away. It's like you get to meet the real person behind that like professional facade that they put up, and it's super, super nice. And that's what I like the most.
Yeah, it is fun, especially like, you know, the 2 years that we've had the United Go, which is the Black/people of color meetup. I've always like noticed how much more relaxed all of the, you know, Black and people of color, all of us are just in that environment where it's just kind of us. And how like it feels weird because we're like, oh, we're in this space where all of us are like nerdy about this, you know, programming language, and yet we're also among our people, which is like kind of a rare experience, especially among Black folk or Black and Latin folk, where there's like not a lot of software engineers in our community, especially compared to like, you know, if I'm just kind of wandering around and meeting people like in New York City, most of the software people I meet are white. So it's like a nice little hyper localized thing where like, okay, I'm like with my people, and you can like drop so much of the professional facade that many of us put on, which is nice.
You guys act professional?
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you.
All of us are a white straight man, Dylan. So
I mean, to be fair, I was going to say the same thing, Dylan. I was going to be
I'm also a deep South.
This is true.
Country boy, for lack of a better term.
We can tell where you're from. Yeah.
No, it's like, it's just funny. Some people, you can see it. You can just see it so clearly. I mean, it's hard to explain, but you can tell when someone's being overly fake and professional to the point where it's like, okay, you haven't decided that you want to be your genuine self yet. Come back to me when you do, you know, and they wear their badge more like, look at me, I'm at this place and and I'm trying to do these more important things and I'm like the best programmer ever. And it's like, dude, you just learned a program yesterday too. Come on, let's be real. Like, who are you fooling? Maybe those people over there, but you're not fooling us.
I will say, I'm looking forward to this year because it's the first time in 5 years that I don't have to be there and work a booth and represent my company. I'm just a plain old attendee this year.
That's actually a good point. There are, as much as I say like, oh, you have to maintain your professionalism and blah, 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 and there's a facade there. It does depend on the way you're attending. Because if you are doing booth duty, you kind of do have to maintain your professionalism and whatnot. And I'm saying that a little bad because I'm not saying just act a fool. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that when you're on booth duty, you are generally tied to your booth and you're like, you know, pitching the company or the product over and over again. So you do have to maintain that sort of like, yeah, this is Oxide and we do great things and look at the rack and You know, you have to do that stuff all over and over again. And that could come off as like overly professional facade-y, LinkedIn-y, you know? And even though you don't mean to be, but you kind of have to be, right?
We've made it fun at the CrowdStrike booth over the years because CrowdStrike doesn't have a retail product. Like no one at GopherCon that walks up to the booth can go and download CrowdStrike or use it. It's all corporate contracts. So it's always been a recruiting event. So people walk up, hey, what do you guys do? We're handing out job applications. Would you like one?
That definitely helps, especially in this market.
I will say, Dylan, you are representing Fallthrough, so best be on your best behavior. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, with all the t-shirts that we have.
With all the
Someone print a sign, go to Office Depot, get one of those plastic 8.5 by 11 stands, and we'll claim a table. And we'll have an unofficial Fallthrough booth.
Shipping episodes every week on time or t-shirts? I don't know, dude.
Do we want to have the swag and appear that we have a show or actually have a show? I don't.
It's actually a hard question to answer because we could do so much less work if we just get t-shirts.
I don't know.
Just saying.
Couple hours for imprint, done.
Yeah. Oh man. The listeners probably like, what are these fools doing?
See, this is what happens when we don't have Steve on an episode. Instead of going deep into nuance, we go deep into tomfoolery.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. How do you all approach attending a conference? Like, what do you? Oh wait, no, that's the next question. How do you, how do you approach? Like, what's the mindset you put yourself in when you're going to a conference? Like, I don't know why I wrote this question this way, but anyway. Angelica, why don't you tackle this one first?
Okay, two ways to answer this. One is I have not attended a conference as purely an attendee in 10 years. So I'm always doing something, either as a chair or organizer or speaker. So I think that does taint the way I approach it, depending on what I'm doing. But in general, I approach a conference as first and foremost a way to connect with people that I can't see very often, both new and people I already know a little bit virtually. So I take it first and foremost as a social or connected based opportunity. So I want to be going, feeling ready, my social battery charged as much as it can be, because obviously we have our lives. Ready with an aim of like talking to as many people as possible. And I think that's one note, because I think that is a way that I've heard other people don't approach it. I do try to talk to as many people as possible. So I find most of the time at conferences, I have a breadth of conversations, but I don't have a depth of conversations. So I'm trying to start a conversation with a lot of people that I can then continue after the conference and get deeper.
Okay. Dylan, how do you approach attending a conference?
I'm actually pretty similar. As I'm the only nerd in the family, so I save up the nerd talk all year. Because if I talk about this with my kids and my friends, the kids make fun of me, my wife rolls her eyes. So I get 3 days of releasing all the pent up nerddom, and kind of the social aspect. Like when I first went, it was country boy goes to town, literally. Like first time I'd ever been around that many people, a little bit starstruck. And it's been 9, 10, 11 years now. I've met a bunch of people, made a bunch of friends, everyone on the podcast, a bunch of other people. So it's kind of, and most of those I only see once a year at GopherCon. So I kind of shifted to, we're going to meet up with the people I haven't seen in a year, meet some new people, strike up some new conversations, networking conversations, really discharging the social battery and getting it all out of my system, because then I come back home and turn back into a hermit who sits in my office and types code all day.
Matt?
I was going to say, you're not a hermit. There's no shell. I don't know. This one's an interesting question for me because I used to approach this differently. I used to say like, oh, I'm going to go to the talks and learn these things and blah, 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 thinking that like the talks were the value of the conference, and they're not. Again, as Angelica pointed out, we have not spoken about talks or anything yet. So I used to approach it that way, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to attend this talk and that talk, and I would make like a little schedule and whatever and try to follow it. And then I realized like I wasn't leaving the conferences with any sort of connections or new relationships. So then I switched up and I started looking at the conferences as a way to meet people that I otherwise wouldn't get a chance to talk to. So it could be the speakers, it could just be attendees or whatever. And I also looked at it as a way of like, if this is a language specific conference, the companies that are sponsoring it are generally using this language. So it's a way to understand like which companies are hiring for the language I'm working in and get to talk to them. So like to Dylan's point earlier about recruiting, it's the other side of recruiting, like actually trying to search for a job. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I just want to go, like kind of like Angelica said, I want to go meet people. So I would often line up my conference attendance with other events, right? So for example, like I went to Open Source Forum conference. I saw that Oxide was allowing like doing a office tour for attendees. And I was like, hey, that's worth the attendance to me. I get to go to San Francisco, attend this conference, get an Oxide tour, and visit like my brother-in-law. Great. So I'm not a firmware developer, but I attended that conference for the tertiary benefits, right? And that's something I think of too, is like what other benefits do I get by attending this conference that aren't necessarily just the conference and its attendees?
Yeah. I guess to hedge what I said earlier, I mean, we are all Go developers for real, and going to GopherCon is useful in the fact that talks are about Go, and you get to see things that other people are doing that are a different take on some topic, or you get to see talks from experts in some domain. I mean, I do look forward to Joe's crypto talk every year. Not Joe, Filippo. I mean, not only is he a great presenter, but he also knows what he's talking about. He can go into technical detail and explain and teach you things that you didn't know before. So the technical aspects are definitely there. Like, I'm going there to also learn something new about Go, or some new aspect of Go, or see what's coming up beyond just the socializing with all the other Go nerds.
And I feel like if the talks weren't recorded and videoed, I might invest more in the talks. But I think because I know if there's a really good talk, I can just rewatch it at a later date. Typically, I'll be excited about a talk, kind of to what you've said, Dylan, to like support the person giving the talk versus the actual content of the talk. I think there are a couple that I get excited about depending on the topic. If it's an area that I know nothing about and it sounds really interesting, then I would want to invest and go and be excited and, you know, really, really listen to the content of the talk. But most of the time, if I'm watching a talk, it's either because I want to support that individual and be there to support, like, oh, great, they're doing a talk. I know it's their first talk. Or, oh, this person, I'm really excited they're on the stage. Let me, like, show up for them, as opposed to, I really want to listen to the content of their talk, if that makes sense. But I do think the workshops are an area that I do get excited about. And the last 2 years, I haven't been able to go to the workshops because I've had to do organization shenanigans. But if I were to be an attendee, that would probably be my draw if there was someone giving a really good workshop, because that's something that you can't record, you can't capture after the point in time. And I'd be excited to attend a workshop maybe at the beginning of the conference and then be able to continue that conversation with that workshop leader perhaps after the conference. But I think there is value in all the different pieces. I just think now that we can go back and see recordings, and also now, which may just be my experience, but I think it's generally true, there are so many rare opportunities that you can see your peers, and like that amount of gophers, in because we're kind of talking about GopherCon, are in one place. I kind of feel like it's a bit of a waste if you're sitting silently taking notes on your own the whole time when you have these real life human beings that you can talk to around you.
Yeah.
I'll usually pick 2 or 3 talks. Those are really interesting. I want to make sure that I catch those.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the time, I do take that same angle and, well, it's going to be recorded. I can watch it on YouTube a couple of months whenever they come out. There's no pressing need to be there because I know that I can catch it later.
The workshops are a good value add, but they have to be taught by someone who actually knows how to teach, and like, or at least the agenda of the workshop is set in advance so people know what you're getting into and you know what you're signing up for. Because a lot of workshops, they market themselves like, oh yeah, learn tracing and Go, and then you like barely even like instrument for your trace. You know what I mean? By the time you get there, that's like the end of the workshop. You just instrumented your app. You just sent your first trace off, and then, oh, sorry, we're done now. And it's like, I want to do more. You know what I mean? So it really depends on setting that expectation up front and having a good teacher. Like a workshop from Bill Kennedy is like full of energy. It's fun. You learn something, and you don't always stick to the agenda, but you learn something even better than what you came for, and you walk away being like, yeah, this was great. And then there's other workshops where it's like, you could have just posted this as a course that I like paid the $200 for or whatever, and I would have just done that. I would have just done this in like an hour or two in my spare time. You know, there was no value add, and I think that's the difference. And people, it's hard. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to do it, but if you're gonna burn a day on workshops, they need to be worth people's time showing up, because oftentimes people just skip the day of workshops and they come the next day for the conference, or they use the day of workshops as like a day to hang out with their friends and like.
There's maybe a bit of a counterpoint there. To be fair, Bill at this point is a professional teacher. Like, he's put a lot of time and practice into making that workshop an educational and an enjoyable experience, and making sure that people do leave having learned something. Whereas other ones, 2 years ago, one of my coworkers at CrowdStrike did one of the workshops, and he doesn't do that. He's a software engineer, so he was kind of winging it. So there's, to some extent, the content is good, but yeah, it does need to be organized and at least put together enough where it's not just rambling and chaos.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not expecting everyone to be at the level of Bill Kennedy, who has decades of experience and professional teaching experience, but a conference workshop is not the time to hone those skills for the teacher.
Yeah,
because there's so much you're asking the attendee for, right? You're asking the attendee for an extra day of travel, right? Like, well, flight cost is usually the same, right? Flight costs, if you do a 2-day flight, 3-day flight, usually that's the same. So you're not really asking for extra flight costs, but you are asking for extra hotel costs. You are asking for the actual workshop costs. So you're asking the attendee to spend more money to come attend your workshop. It better be worth that money, because that could be the difference between being in budget and attending the conference and being out of budget and saying, I can't come, or I can just skip these workshops. So it just has to be worth it.
I do think that does bring up a question around, for the workshops and the speakers, like, what is the quality level? What is the bar? Because I think it's something I've thought about a lot in terms of, is it a requirement that all the speakers in workshops are like very seasoned and they know they're really on it, and you have 100% confidence that they're going to absolutely smash it out of the park? Or is there a little bit more leniency and it's actually okay? And really one of the goals of a conference maybe should be to create an environment where, yes, a first-time speaker might fumble their words and then bring it back, or, you know, is this an opportunity to build? Is there an opportunity to build an environment where there is enough empathy and understanding that if someone has an interesting idea, has something worth saying, maybe if their presentation skills aren't incredible, we're going to like support them through, because it's a really nice personal growth area. It's a chance for them to build confidence in being part of this community. I know, I think there's an interesting conversation to be had. And Matt, you made me think of this around like, what are the steps to get to being a conference speaker or a workshop leader? And what level should conferences, in our personal opinions, hold speakers to?
So I've been in my third year now of kind of participating in helping put GopherCon together. For me, the bar is interesting or unique and knowledgeable. Like, we don't need polish. It's not AWS reInvent, and people don't have $50,000 budgets to put together these giant presentations. But you should know your content and be able to speak intelligently about it. But yeah, some of the better talks that I've seen have been first-time speakers because the content was interesting or unique. It was a different take on whatever it was that they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If first-time speakers usually get to take more risks because they have nothing to lose, right? They're just starting out. They can differentiate themselves by doing something different than the status quo, and I think that's good. Also, though, you have to have some goal and agenda where the attendees are going to leave happy and understanding something. If it's just like a regurgitation of the Getting Started guide with no sort of like unique spin or personal experience shown through that, then it's not really worth people's time. And I'm not saying you have to be a professional teacher to do this, because I remember when I first actually had my first teaching job I was an adjunct professor for college. My first year, I was like, what the heck am I doing? I was like, what, like, am I good at this? What am I doing? Hello. I'm jiggling.
You were great, clearly.
I was wondering to myself, my first year, I was like, what am I doing? Am I ready to do this? Whatever. But I put a lot of work into building the curriculum and I kind of asked myself the question, what would I want to see if I were in the chair, the other side?
So I guess my question is, if, for example, I'm taking it to the extreme now, GopherCon next year will just be, we've got a venue, we've got food, and then we've got unplanned time to socialize for 7 hours. Would you pay to go to that? And I know I'm kind of putting it in extremes, but I'm kind of thinking through, if I were planning a conference, if the conference was, Angelica, this conference is to bring a load of people together in a shared space who all like Go, I'd be like, okay, we need food and plenty of snacks. We need a comfy space with lots of sofas, and I would create an environment that's systemic to talking and chatting and catching up. But would that be enough to ask for whatever it is? I should know this, but how much a conference ticket is? Or do you have to do the talks and workshops to advocate for the worth of that ticket purchase?
I feel like you'd still need some talks. Even if it was kind of like Kris is saying, maybe over 2 days, 6 talks of, and really good talks, things that are polished and rehearsed.
Yeah.
Do you think that conference organizers and like chairs, or there should be some part of the conference's responsibility to help and mentor people? I know that like GopherCon does do some mentorship with certain speakers. They do provide help if the topic is interesting enough, but the speaker just needs help framing it. Like, I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks around if people want to put on a conference which is a big if they do want first-time speakers, because I think that is a choice. Do you want to be giving first-time speakers opportunities? Is that one of the goals, as we've talked about, the conference? Should that conference then take on the responsibility to provide more support, mentorship, dry runs to those speakers they know are less seasoned before putting them on a stage, as opposed to perhaps in some cases doing them a disservice by throwing them on a giant stage, relying on their own prep, which they may not have done enough of?
I think so. I think if you are intentionally selecting first-time speakers, then you should also make it a point to provide active support to those first times.
I think this is like part of the conundrum of trying to cater to first-time speakers is of like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to organize a conference that's going to have good experience for all of the attendees? Or are you trying to run like a boot camp to help people put together good content and good talks? Like what is it you're trying to do? Because I think it stretches conferences too thin to really try and mentor speakers in addition to putting together the whole conference, because it takes a substantial amount of work to put a conference together. And it's like, on top of that being like, okay, well, let's like mentor people. And it's not like a regional conference where like everybody's in the same location so you can like meet up for lunch with somebody. Now you got to like schedule Zoom calls. All right. Hold on. We'll continue this conversation in break because this is not
We'll go to break
soon. So to close out this episode, I want to let's get some advice for the first time conference attendees. Little snippet of advice. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to edit this episode. Anyway, thank you all for. Anyway, Matt, what advice do you have for first time attendees?
Actually talk to people. If there's recorded talks, you probably want to skip them because you can get them later, and value that in-person attendance as much as possible. Go to the booths, pick up the swag, talk to people, meet people in the hallway. Don't be afraid to go up to people. We're all there for the conference, and you'll know very quickly if someone doesn't want to talk to you anyway. So just go up and say hi, like, hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And bring extra space in your bag. Like, don't pack heavily because you're going to get swag. So bring extra space in your luggage.
Dylan.
I was very similar. Those people that you're idolizing, that you're going there to see, talk to them. Over the years, I've gone from being the noob who was intimidated to now being at least marginally recognizable. I've been on stage a few times. People kind of recognize my face now. And I've talked to Bill and Kelsey and the famous people. Go and talk to them. They're normal people. They actually want to talk to people. They enjoy interacting with everyone. And bring comfortable shoes because you're going to stand around a lot and walk a lot.
Angelica?
It's going to be along the same lines. It's going to be come with snacks, water, and ready to talk to a lot of people. And usually if you see people who are like hosting the conference, or you see people who look like they might be organizing the conference, they're usually easy to come up to, and they're like ready to talk to you if you want to just like break that barrier of like, who do I talk to at the beginning of the day? And typically they can help introduce you to other people. But I'm going to just piggyback on what Dylan said and what honestly Matt said. Like, no one is better than anyone else at these conferences. Like, we're all the same. I'm like, very bluntly, like, in my mind, like, there are no people who are superstars. There are no people who are noobs. Like, we're all just freaking human beings who like go at GopherCon. Like, you know, like, you are a valuable individual in this space, and you have so much to give as a first-time conference attendee, a new perspective, your interests. You know, I'm guaranteed you're going to start talking to people, and you know a heck of a lot more than they do about a certain topic, and you're able to teach them. Like, I feel like one of the things I feel most passionate about is getting away from this idea of like, oh my God, this person, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Or like, oh, I'm such a noob. Oh, I don't know anything. Like, no. Like, it's just not the reality. Like, you know way more about a certain thing than someone else does, and they know way more about a certain thing than you do. That's just life. Like, why are we doing this whole shenanigan of, oh, this person's so amazing? Like, you can respect each other. You can be really excited to talk to people. But, like, at the end of the day, there's no hierarchy of gophers. There shouldn't be. We're just all freaking here, and we like this little Go software engineering language. Like, I went into a coffee shop yesterday. I have a 3D printed gopher on my backpack. # Caitlin is amazing. And someone asked me whether I had a bean with a face on it on my backpack. Like, like just enjoy people who will recognize your 3D printed gopher on your backpack.
I would say try and make at least one new friend. Like someone that you're like going to talk to after the conference, someone that you're like, try to like have enough conversations and talk to people with enough depth that you're like, I want to keep talking to this person after this. Because that's how definitely I've made some of my like best friendships, I think. I mean, like this podcast is made up of people that I literally met at GopherCon. I think I met all of you at GopherCon. Yeah. So like, just try to walk away from the conference, any conference you're attending, with like one new friend. It's a great way to build your network, and it kind of makes it more fun to come back again the next year. So
I'm excited to see you all.
Yeah. And make sure if you are at GopherCon, come talk to us. We're friendly people.
Oh yeah, for real.
We will all introduce you to every single person. And like, I will say for one, I love introducing people to other people. I often will introduce people to people, and then I will slowly fade out of the group to let them do their thing.
So yes, come say hi to us. All right. With that, thank you, viewer/listener, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Perfect.
So, viewer/listener, how'd you like that episode? Did you get some useful advice about attending conferences? Did you like our dialogue about what we think a conference should become? Let us know on social media or in the comments. Oh my God, Angelica, stop it. This episode of Fallthrough was hosted by Kris Brando with co-hosts Matthew Sanabria, Dylan Burke, and Angelica Hill. Fallthrough is produced by Kris Brando and Angelica Hill, and our beats are by Breakmaster Cylinder.
You did it. that noob comment that you were making, I want that shit as my paging ringtone. Like, I'm a noob. I just want that when I get an alert.
Oh my God. Okay. Stopping and starting.